So, Brandon, a very big game has just hit Nintendo Switch 2. And when I say very big, I also mean in file size, because on my data screen right now, it's literally taking up half of the system memory at 108 gigabytes. This is Final Fantasy XIV Online on Switch 2.
This day finally came after so long.
It's a biggie. Like, you can play it on portable PCs, but just being able to play it on a dedicated handheld is really nice for FF14. But there's a broader question of, how is the dang game?
Well, you tell me, John.
I will. FF14 is 1080p in both handheld and docked, but it does seem to fluctuate. So in one of the outdoor areas, it seemed like the trees were shimmering a bit more in the distance. I think there's a dynamic resolution going on. But there's the more important aspect to focus on, which is the frame rate. And they kept saying prior to launch that some areas would be 60 FPS and some areas would be 30. And so you might have thought, like, how are they going to do that? Does it just change depending on the area? And what they were really saying was the game is uncapped. So it can hit 60, but in a lot of areas it simply doesn't. So there was, in this outdoorsy area here, I was hovering around, like, near the 60 mark. It was going between 55 and 60, which is okay. But in the central town, where there's lots of NPCs and characters around, it definitely was not hitting anywhere near 60. But there is a good side to this. In the options, there is a 30 FPS cap. You can put that on, and it just bypasses all that and keeps it a locked 30 the entire time.
Nice.
And in handheld mode, VRR actually kicks in as well.
Oh.
So handheld mode actually looks a lot smoother in some of the busier areas when it's not quite hitting 60. So you can play that unlocked to a much nicer degree. But I think it can go below 40, so it won't save everything.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't super surprising to me, regardless of where you play Final Fantasy XIV. If you end up in a town that's, like, really populated with players, your FPS is just gonna drop. That's just the nature of the beast, so not too surprising. The fact that we can get a 30 FPS cap at all, I think that's more than enough for this game.
Yeah. I mean, this began as a PlayStation 3 game, but obviously it's evolved and evolved since then. That version is no longer supported. PS4 version is losing support in 2028. And so the Switch 2 version is basically going to be the only, like, lower-powered version of FF14. So it's definitely gone into this modern state. And yeah, for what it is, it runs really well. I tested PS5's frame rate as well, and it wasn't quite hitting 60 either. Most of the time it was, but there were definitely dips every now and then. So it's it's a pretty beefy game in scale when there's a lot going on.
Yeah, like I said, it really doesn't come as any surprise. I think the performance that the Switch 2 version is getting is more than adequate, and in some ways, even impressive.
It's worth noting as well that you can just test a lot of this for free. And when I say test, I pretty much mean you can just play a whole, like, hundreds of hours of the game before trying anything, because you get the base game. And what else do you get, Brandon? You're way more familiar with FF14 than I am.
So you get some of the additional expansions. You get Heaven's Word, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers, which, I mean, that's 4 entire video games, like, if we're being real about it. You can also play up to level 80, and there's no limit on playtime, so you can basically play as much as you want, even if you play all those campaigns.
Yeah, it can be really tempting to buy, like, the starter pack, because it's really cheap. It's like £12? But I'd suggest don't do that for a while, because the free trial is just going to give you a lot in there.
The game actively encourages you not to. Yeah. There's some restrictions, like in how you can add friends or whatever. But if you have friends who've already bought the game and are deep in, and they're just trying to onboard you, they can do all that stuff for you. You don't really have to worry.
I did play this a chunk in handheld mode as well, because that's kind of the main draw of this version. And it looks good, it runs well. And a really cool part of it is the touchscreen works as well. So you can just touch parts of the UI, like touch the mini-map, and it's going to bring things up. Basically works like a mouse would, just you're touching it. And speaking of mouse, the Joy-Con mouse also works. I found playing this game with the controller works for the most part, but there's certain things which are just a bit too awkward. So being able to just, like, dynamically go from a full controller to putting a Joy-Con down for certain parts is actually great. Like, it feels really good to do that.
It's nice to have that option. The game was designed for a controller in the first place, but there are, like, a lot of controls, especially, like, with your skills. Like, you have to hold down the triggers to access secondary panels. It can get to be a lot.
It's an MMO. Like, there's a lot of windows and panels that you can bring up, and if you're someone who wants like your HUD just plastered with things, I found that really awkward. So it was nice just to click them. It's just really easy.
Mm-hmm.
And the DualSense can do that too with the touchpad, but that's you get a lot less real estate. It's just a bit more cumbersome. So honestly, I found this just the nicer playing like controller version.
Yeah, you have more options, and that's just going to lead to a better experience.
Yeah. And it's just nice to have this. We're at a point where Switch 2 is just getting really comparable version of all the sort of like live service games. Like, we've had a lot of shooters like Fortnite and Apex and all of those, but getting a full-on MMORPG is something like Nintendo's never really had before, outside of like Phantasy Star Online years and years ago. So getting something of this scale with as much there as there is just delightful. It's just really nice to have this.
Yeah, it was a long time coming. Final Fantasy XIV it was basically, in my opinion, single-handedly keeping MMOs alive. So it's nice to finally have it here on Nintendo Switch.
Absolutely. It's worth noting as well, because the file size is so big, you can have this and Call of Duty, which is coming up soon, and that is your internal storage just done. all this and another Square Enix FF7 game, like Rebirth or Remake, that's just going to take up your entire hard drive. So maybe get an SD card.
One very specific type of player who plays only Final Fantasy XIV and Call of Duty is going to be perfectly
fine. That guy must exist. There must be a guy like that out there somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He's real.
Anyway, I think that's about it for FF14 for now. It's a really good port. It doesn't lock at 60, but you can lock it yourself at 30 if it bothers you. But in handheld mode, a lot of that is just smoothed out anyway. Hopefully VRR eventually comes to docked, because it needs it. Like, it'd be really nice if that happens sooner than later. But for now, FF14 on Switch 2, it's a good time. So jump on in for free. And anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.